So that's a cool little exercise you can do to chase 1/4s and 5s across the neck. Most of that stuff's, I mean, all of that stuff's coming from the bar chord shapes. So we're in the key of G. We've got a G major, a C major for our 1 chord, and 5 chords of D major. And we can turn all these chords into dominant 7s if you'd want to practice your dominant 7s with them too. It's a really cool sound. But for the base level of this little idea that I have for the video is just chasing a 1, 4, and 5 in each position. You know, so we've got our full bar chord here. That's our E form bar chord playing a G major, A form bar chord playing a C major, and a C form bar chord playing a D major. When you're in this key, these chords follow wherever you're at. So once you learn this little connection here, it's always there. You've got your major scale associated with it. It's always there. Once you learn it, you never have to learn it again because it's there to stay. It's never going anywhere. It's the coolest thing about guitar. These shapes carry over to whatever key you want, and you learn it once, and everything you learn builds on top of that. That's just one section of the fretboard. We've got another G major here using the D form. We've got a C major here using the G form. And we've got a D major using the A form. And here we've got a G major using the C form. We've got a C major using the E form, and a D major using the G form. And this location, we've got a G major using the A form, we've got a C major using the D form, and we have a D major using the E form. And what you notice is we're using the same forms across the neck to play the 3 chords. So you already know these forms, what you know the cage system, and then all it is just aligning those dots to find these chords. When I say dots, I mean the octave system. So for example, in the E form bar chord, we've got our G there. That's our root. That's going to let us know what chord we're on. That little triangle system there. Those are all G's. So when I play a E major bar chord there, actually when I have a root note here, I only have 2 options. It's either for a major chord. I'm going to have the E form option, or I'm going to have the G option. G, E, D. C, A, G, E, D. That's how this works. So on the A string, for example, I've got a G note here. I'm only going to have 2 options to root off that in this location. A G major here using the A form, or a G major here using the C form. C, A, G, E, D. That's how this stuff works. Super cool. So on and so forth with each of the strings, and I'd recommend learning all the string systems there. But the main point of this video, and what I hope is most helpful, is that these bar chords are tricky to play. The full bar chords, like the C major here using the G form, the 8th fret, you can't play that whole chord. So it's all right. It's not a big deal. But it is important to see the footprint. I need to see that is my C major chord using the G form here at the 8th fret, because then I can do stuff like this. I don't have to play the full. What I just played was more musical than this. You know, that's the idea. See the footprint. You don't have to play the whole thing. And that's how we chase these. The example that I played in the beginning is using string sets. So I'm using like 3 strings at a time, and I'm not thinking too much about it. I know that form is my G chord. I know my form for the G chord here. I know my form for the G chord here. So when the progression is over the 1, the G chord, I'm just thinking little triads. When we go to the 4, C, 1, 5, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1 finger chord there, that's cool. 1, 4, 1, 5, So I hope this video makes sense. What I want to really get out there is you don't have to play the full bar chord, but you do have to see the whole thing. Because if you can see the whole thing, you can... You can pick out little melodies just following the 1, 4s, and 5s, because that's music. That's 90% of music. That's why I really recommend like learning the blues in each position. Chase the 1, 4, 5s in each position. That's 90% of music. Probably over that. I don't know. Most songs are using a 1, 4, and 5 in one way or another. So anyway, yeah. So go through each of the cage forms. So if we're going to root it off the G, find the 1, 4, 5 in this form. We got our 1, 4, 5. In this form, we've got our G. We've got our 1, our 4, our 5. In this section, we have our G. 1, 4, 5. In this section, we have our G. 1, 4, 5. This was a light bulb moment for me with guitar. It totally opens up the fretboard, allows you to chase your chords, your scales because they're connected to the chords, your arpeggios because they're connected to the chords, your little melodies, thirds and sixths and fourths and all that stuff. It's all connected back to these chord shapes. So anybody that wants to play guitar, you're going to be playing rhythm or lead. Just learn this stuff because it's going to help you with both. It's going to help you know your chord forms across the neck. Bob Weir from Grateful Dead, brain fart there, sorry. But he knew all these triads across the guitar neck, and he played rhythm guitar for the most part, but beautiful rhythm guitar, chord melodies everywhere. Like, this stuff is useful for people wanting to chuck away at rhythm. And if you think you want to play lead guitar and not learn chords, you really need to rethink that, because the scale shapes are awesome, little patterns and speed work. It's all awesome. Like, I love guitar work, no matter what you're doing with it. It's amazing. But if you really want to play effective lead guitar and have your melodies, your solos be melodic and have melodies within whatever you're trying to get out there, you really got to follow the chord tones. And it's not that hard to follow the chord tones. We got 5 shapes. And usually you're soloing over 1 chord or 2 chords, or, you know, at most usually 4 chords for most of us. You know, it's not that complicated, but it is a learning process to learn the 1, 4s, and 5s across the neck. When I did it, probably was back in 2017. I really studied the blues, the 1, 4, and 5 in each shape. You know, and this stuff is always a work in progress. I'm still chasing it, but I had the gist of the 1, 4, and 5 probably in a few months, you know, of, 30-minute practice sessions every day, you know, roughly a couple times a week. But yeah, a few months, you kind of get the gist of where the 1, 4s, and 5s are in these 5 shapes. You only have to learn the 5 shapes. The 1, 4s, and 5s are in each of those shapes. And it goes deeper than that, but this is kind of just the beginning of it. Anyway, long-winded. I hope this video helps you in some way. Leave any comments if you need me to explain anything further, or if I can help in any other way, and I really appreciate you watching.